Husker fans, Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald and Husker Extra. This is our special teams portion of the 2023 Spring Camp Review. We've already done the offense and defense. Here is special teams. This might be a little bit shorter. Hey, Matt Rule and Ed Foley want to be good at special teams. They want to just be good. They don't want to just be mediocre. They want to be really, really good. They want to be great. And anytime I think you want to be great on special teams and not just, hey, you know, we're going to be all right, we're not going to embarrass ourselves like Nebraska did in 2019, 2020, and 2021. If you don't want to be embarrassing, you're going to have to put a lot of effort into it. Because I think it takes a lot of effort to be good at special teams. Not a ton of effort, but a lot. A lot more than Nebraska was putting in 2019, 2020, and 2021. They put in some extra effort last year, and I think they were decent, but I think Nebraska wants to be even better. So what does that look like? Well, first of all, you've got to juice that return game because Nebraska's kickoff and punt returns have been mediocre at best for many, many years. Now, we've kind of overlooked that because the punting was so awful and the kicking in 2019 was so bad that you almost couldn't get to the returns because you didn't even have time with as bad as they were at everything else. But the return games have been a problem, and they haven't been able to sort of reset anything or get things going in that part of it. They did have a blocked punt for a touchdown return by Malcolm Hartzog last year, so that was a bright spot in what was otherwise a little bit of a struggle. So where do they get their punt returner from? I think it's probably going to be Billy Kemp, the Virginia wide receiver transfer. I think, A, he's probably going to be Nebraska's best receiver. B, he had 64 punt returns while he was at Virginia. I think there's a pretty good bet that that's probably going to be a role that he's good at. In kickoff return, I don't know that they would be against running it back with Tommy Hill. Tommy Hill was close to breaking a few last year, but he didn't break them. And so do you go back with him? Do you run it back with Tommy and kind of let him do that again, or do you move Billy Kemp into that role, or do you move a running back into that role? I think Anthony Grant might be interesting in that role, maybe even Ramir Johnson, who's a pretty good straight line runner. They're going to have to figure out their kickoff and punt return units. We didn't see a lot of that in the spring game because those things are hard to simulate in that setting. From a punting perspective, I think they feel pretty good about where Brian Buschini is. Apparently he's gotten better at the pooch punting, and he was always a pretty good volume or distance punter, so long as you're asking him to go to kick it straight. I think when you ask him to start doing directional, his numbers go down a little bit, but I do think he is a pretty good punter, and I think they will have pretty good punt coverage. That's one area where I think Nebraska has improved. One of the reasons they improved is they're no longer using a punter that I'm not sure always knew how to punt. And so now they have a guy who really does know how to do that and is really good at it and has also worked with somebody that Ed Foley has coached in Johnny Hecker. And so I think that's a pretty good match right there. At long snapper, Marco Ortiz, they brought him from Florida. They didn't bring him here because he wasn't good. He's getting a scholarship to be a snapper, and I think Nebraska will be pretty good there. Now at kicker, well, you see right there, that's Timmy Bleekrode. And there's a chance that he is the guy that wins the job, right? He's the guy that had the job last year. He made a long field goal in the spring game. He also missed 2 in the spring game. My sense is Tristan Alvano would be one of those rare true freshmen where if he comes in and was really, really good early, he could actually be the guy that becomes Nebraska's place kicker. I think that's an area to watch. Matt Rule brought it up a couple of different times in press conferences. I think he really wants to see Bleekrode win that job, and if not, they'll give Alvano a chance because Alvano, remember what he did for Westside in the Class A state title game. Remember how big of a leg he has. He could be a really, really interesting addition to this team in the offseason. Okay, what to watch? Well, we'll see what happens over the summer. Watch that Alvano thing, and let's see where Nebraska goes with its return units. Okay, that is our special teams portion of the 2023 Spring Camp Review. I'm Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald and Husker Extra.